Hi, and welcome to Real Life with Jenny. Grab your favorite snack and a drink, and we'll get started. My name is Jenny Senaparatna, and today I'm drinking blonde butterscotch black tea. Yum! And I'm having some pretzels. So let's get real. Right now we're in the middle of summer in Minnesota, and it's wonderful. But the one thing that is time is ticking down to school. And that has always been something that kids and parents and teachers can have anxiety about. This year it is doubled, maybe even more than that, without the knowledge of how is school going to really look. So when I was a kid, I was worried about would I have the nice trapper keeper? Would my haircut look okay that I got a week before school? What kind of clothes should I wear? I went to a private school, so I was like, are they going to change the dress code? I had to wear dresses, I think, till 9th grade. Every single day. And yes, there were dresses that were supposed to hit your knee. And wink, wink, mine always did, right? And then when we were older, we were allowed to wear pants eventually. And I never got to wear blue jeans. My brother and sister did because they were in school a little bit later. But you were always worried about what you could wear, what you would look like, what teachers you would have, what would your schedule be, would I be able to open my locker? Just all kinds of pieces of things that you would worry or think about. Would my friends still be there? Would my friends still like me? Is the boy I like still there? I don't know. You know, those kind of pieces, just really simple juvenile things. And not that I don't worry about those things now. I don't worry about my locker, but I might worry a little bit more about my haircuts now than I used to. Anyway, and this year it is big because we don't know what school's going to look like. We don't know whether we're going to be online. We don't know whether we're in person, half online, half in person. There's so many scenarios out there right now in the education world, which is kind of exciting to be thinking outside the box education-wise. I'm kind of excited for people to put on their imagination hats and think, how could we do this best for our students and really, make an impact, because now we can change things. But it does cause a lot of anxiety. And there's been a lot of discussions in my home about what should we do for school, if they go online, how do we feel about that? My daughter's an only, so it's a little hard because she's all alone. I am not that entertaining, so it's kind of hard for her. But it's just, there's a lot of built up things happening right now. And I really think that's across the United States. And so I've been thinking about this. And first of all, I have been praying for those who are teachers. Shout out to you and my teacher friends. We love you. We appreciate you. You guys do an amazing job for our kids. And what you guys do is not thankful, and we're not thankful enough for you. And I know this is super hard on you guys. Like, how do you plan for the next year with this kind of unknown above you? And for the admin that are standing behind those teachers and really helping them support them, kudos to you too. And those lunch ladies out there, you rock. You know you rock. Anyway, lunch lady at heart. So anyway, let's move on. So I've been praying a lot for this, and that my daughter, no matter what happens, would have success, and that we would make the right decision for her after the decision the schools make, or the state makes and then the schools make and then we make, right? So I've been thinking about this, and a really strange person came to mind. His name is Gideon. If you haven't heard of Gideon, let me tell you a little bit about him. So he's found in the book of Judges, and he's really known for the fleece. So God asked him to do this big thing and take on a big army. And he's like, wait a minute, God. If you really want me to do that, I'm going to take this fleece and I'm going to lay it out, and I want you to make the fleece really wet and the ground around it really dry. And so at night, he got up the next day, and the fleece, he could wring it out in a bowl, and it was just wet, and the ground was dry. And he was like, you know what? Not really good enough for me, God. Let's try this again. Now, he didn't say not really good enough, but that's what he said without saying it, right? Ugh. So he says, now I need you to make the fleece dry and the ground wet. And so he does. And so that's really what he's known for. not necessarily a huge man of, woohoo, we've got faith, I'm following God no matter what he does. So we meet him in the book of Judges. And in the book of Judges, the nation of Israel is struggling. They have walked away from God. They are they're being defeated by anybody that walks in their area. They're living in caves. They are a mess because they've walked away from the Lord and from the covenant they had with him. And so all of a sudden Gideon is brought in and he is visited by an angel. And this angel comes and he was like, hey, Gideon. And Gideon's like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not real sure that God is for us. Do you see what's going on around us? This is crazy. We're being defeated left and right. I'm not sure God's for us. Now, let's just pause a minute here and go, you have an angel come to your door or just meet you anywhere. I think he's like in a threshing floor. And you'd be like, hey, you know what? You're not for us. I don't see you working in my current circumstance. So I'm not sure I believe in you anymore. That's a little scary. I'm just going to say now. If an angel comes to you, don't go, hey, I'm not sure I believe in you. And the angel says, I am sending you to go do this. And I'm with you. And Gideon's like, you know what? Wait a minute. I am the weakest of my clan. I am not somebody you want. Look at me. Look at these scrawny little arms. This is a bad plan. You know what? I bet there's somebody else better out there. Nope. You're the one I want. You're the one I want to lead my people. I want to bring them back to me. And I want to defeat your enemies. And he's like, well, okay. You know what, angel? Why don't you stay here? And I am going to go and do some sacrifices. Okay, at this point, if you're the angel, are you not like looking at your watch going, really? I just came down to tell you the Lord wants to use you. And you're like, well, let's put that on hold for a minute. I've got some stuff to do. And you read through that part, and I know this isn't what he technically did, but it kind of feels like he's like, you know what? I'm going to go take a nap, make sure I'm fully rested. I'm going to go and make some bread, make sure that it turns out well. I'm going to go pick a cow and be like, I don't know that I needed Bessie. Maybe we should sacrifice George. No, I really like George. Like, you're just doing this. He's just making this crazy stuff up, not coming back to the angel. And then after all of this, he comes back and then he asks for the fleece. And he's like, now, Lord, I really need you to prove this to me. And you read that and go, oh man, you fool. Like, the angel came and talked to you and you're still like doodle-doddling around and not going, yes, Lord, your servant's listening. That's what you hear in other parts of the Bible, right? Like, yes, Lord, I'm right there. Not Gideon. Gideon's like, I'm not sure this is what we should be doing. You need to prove this to me. I need some time to think about it. You know, it just seems like a back and forth. But really, that is how we all live our lives. And maybe some of you are greater people in faith, and I applaud you and woo, you know, good for you. But there's so many times that we look around and go, God, where are you? Do you see my circumstances? Do you see what's going on around me? Lord, I need you. Where are you? And the Lord is saying, I am here and I'm sending you to make a difference. And we're like, but Lord, all I see is my circumstances. And the Lord just sees you and what you can do for those circumstances. I just find that super interesting. So as many of you who are faithful listeners would know, and if you're not, welcome. I lost my job back in March, and it's really taken a turn in our family, not only financially, but just emotionally. It's been a very strange season. So my husband started a church, oh my goodness, so many years ago now, when we were in our early 20s and now we're in our 40s. He started a church, and we did a church plant for 7 years called Christ Connection. And it shut down after 7 years. And it broke me. I'll just be honest. It just broke me. I loved the church. I loved the people that we were with. I loved hearing my husband preach every week. He is an amazing preacher. But we closed down the church and we started the ministry of Christ Connection. And it's focused on igniting pastors and churches in prayer. And so we started this before Samantha was born. And once Samantha came along, Samantha and Kevin and I went on the road. And Kevin would go to a different church and he would preach. And we'd go and we'd be with the pastors and their wives and their kids and just, really be with the congregation and talk about prayer and how your life can be different. And it was an amazing season. And as Sam got older, it was very apparent to us that it was not good for her. In fact, we were in Rochester, which is a little bit south of the Twin Cities in Minnesota. And it was kind of her breaking point. Maybe it was more my breaking point than it was hers. She was having a really hard time going into the kids ministry there at the church. It was a great church. She was just having a bad day. She's 3 years old. They have bad days. Come on now. And I remember we were sitting in the back of the church and she just couldn't verbalize her frustration with having to get up early and go to a new strange place. And she was sleeping in hotel rooms. And she turned to me and she bit me. And Kevin and I came home that weekend. And I'm not sure if it was that weekend or the next weekend. And we just said, you know what? It's time to get Jenny and Samantha off the road. And so we really felt like it was time, and I know she was 3, but really to give some stability in her life and in my life, because Kevin travels a lot and we love it and it's been such a blessing. But it's really hard as a kid to travel and not have a home base and not have the same Sunday school teacher and not have the same friends. And so we stayed home at our home church, which we love, and we've been there for years. But we really wanted her to have a stability and be able to see the same friends and have the same things happen just have that consistency for her. And for me too. I got to get involved in ministries I would never have been able to while Kevin was on the road. And so now she's 13 and she's a social butterfly and has lots of friends at church and at school. And we just are so grateful for our home church. But when March came and I lost my job, Kevin's like, this is the perfect opportunity for us to do this again. Let's start ministry together again, which is why I started the podcast. And so now we're in the season of looking around going, Lord, our circumstances don't say, hey, this is a great time to raise money for a ministry while everybody isn't allowed to have people in their church. And this is the time people are buckling down their finances and going, okay, we're going to get through this and we're going to cut our expenses. And now Kevin and Jenny are like, hey, we're going to raise support and do this as a family. You look at your circumstances and you go, God, I'm not sure this is going to work. But ultimately, we decided to do this. So last week, actually a couple days Sunday, we went to a church in Minnesota and I had the opportunity to share the word. It was amazing. It is my second favorite thing to do, to preach. I love getting up in front of people, especially ladies. I cannot wait for fall events to open back up and Christmas events to open back up so I can go and be with the women and share that God is in control and He loves you. And I'm so excited. Anyway, go back on what I was talking about. Sorry. My first favorite thing to do is a podcast. This is like the biggest blessing in my life. I just absolutely love it. Anyway, and so this Sunday we went to a church. I got to preach, and at the end of the service, my daughter went up, who's learning piano, and played worship music as my husband gave the altar call. And I know my voice is cracking because it was so emotional. I thought, this is what we're doing. We are doing this together. Each one of us are extremely unique people, and God is using each one of our gifts in a very different way. I could never go up and play the piano. I can lead a worship song if I have to, maybe with the microphone a little bit lower than it should be so not everybody can hear me. But I can kind of carry a tune, maybe. And it was just really neat to see that happening. And so now that's our plan. Our plan is to go on the road And we hope to balance that with church for Samantha, her home church, because she's really involved with preschool and she's a helper in the preschool area and she loves her preschoolers. And I really think they love her because she's got such a sweet spirit. And we've actually started getting animal crackers during this time because she misses her preschoolers. Not that she really wants the animal crackers, but they remind her of something that is precious to her, those little preschoolers. So we're going to try to find a balance there between being on the road as a family and making sure that Sam still has the stability of her home church. So we're really in a really weird season right now with school, with this church thing, this ministry piece, and that is not necessarily the place that you dream to be. You don't dream to be in a place that you're going, God, where are you? Because I'm looking at the circumstances and things are not lining up the way I think they should. And honestly, I'm not sure that that's not the place that God works a miracle. And I don't know what that miracle is in your life. And I don't know what that circumstance is in your life right now. That you're looking and going, Lord, these circumstances are beyond how you can help us. And when I'm looking around, I'm not seeing your love and I'm not seeing that you're with us. Just like Gideon said, I'm not seeing it. You need to prove it to me, Lord. And sometimes it's okay to say, God, I need you to prove your love to me. I need to have this fleece so that I can see that you're working and that this is the way I'm supposed to go. And sometimes you just need to go, God, I will follow and pray that this is going to work and you're going to help defeat my enemy and help, despite the circumstances that are right now, your miracle is on its way. And I'm not sure who needs to hear that right now, but your circumstances do not define where you're going to go. Your circumstances right now do not define where you're going to go eventually. God's got a plan. And I'm saying that out of my own heart because right now I look at our circumstances financially and trying to book services when not all the churches are open and, going, Lord, I am just learning how to do this podcasting thing and I'm not doing the greatest at it, but, I'm being faithful and trying to take those small steps. And you look at the circumstances and you're like, Lord, I'm not seeing your hand in this. But that doesn't mean that his hand is not in it and that he's not guiding your steps. And that in 6 steps down the road, you're going to go back and go, oh yeah, that's where I needed to be able to be where I'm at now. And so please remember that your current circumstance does not define the path that you have to go down. As long as you're standing and going, Lord, I need you. And I know that these circumstances don't show that. In fact, last night, I kind of hit my low. I'll be honest. I hit a really, really low point. I spent, about 2 or 3 hours just crying. Lord, I don't know where to go. Am I doing this wrong? Should I be doing this? Should I be going and working at Panera? That would be kind of cool because they do have really good bagels. I mean, should I be doing that? Is that where I should be going? Or should I continue on this path that I know you want me to go on? And sitting in that space is really hard. It's hard. It's hard to be in a space that you don't know how God is going to pull this off, right? But just like we're going to do for our kids, when the school has been decided and the school tells you, okay, here's what your schedule is going to look like, here's who your teachers are going to be, you get excited and you go, you know what? This is going to be the best year you've ever had. No matter what, it's going to be the best year you ever had. And God is saying that to us. This is going to be the best year you ever had. I know there looks like there's a lot of roadblocks, but I am here to help you plow through those roadblocks. And if there's a roadblock and God doesn't move it and you go the other direction, God's got a blessing in that direction. And so just like we are as parents or as someone that mentors other people, you stand beside them and you cheer them on. And that is what God is doing for us right now. Despite our circumstances, God is standing beside us, cheering us, going, I've got you. I know where you're going, and it's going to be okay. So I don't know who needed to hear that. I know I did, especially last night. So that's really all I have today. I just want to take a moment and thank you for listening. For those of you that have reached out and joined Real Life with Jenny on Facebook, thank you. I am so enjoying connecting with you and getting to know you a little bit better. If you want to send me a prayer request, please send me a prayer request. ChristConnection.cc/Jen. You can connect with me there. I'm thinking a little bit later in a couple, I would love to answer questions. So if you have questions about our life, about something that you're struggling with, that you just kind of want to have someone else's thought process on, I'm not going to tell you that I know everything, because I don't. But I would love to answer your questions. Our life is an open book, and so it would be really fun if you have questions. I would love to answer those for you. But until then, know that your circumstances do not define your future. God's love for you defines your future. God's purpose and love for you defines your future. I hope you all have a great week. Connect with me on Facebook at Real Life with Jenny, and please share with your friends. I would love to meet with any of you if you want to meet, and have a wonderful day.